There are more storage facilities in America than there are coffee shops. Think about what that sentence actually means. Somewhere out past the edge of your town, there is a low orange building behind a chain-link fence, and inside it, there are 200 metal doors, and behind those doors are the possessions of 200 families who could not fit their own lives inside their own houses. They are paying rent every month on boxes they have not opened. Some of them have been paying for 9 years. A great many of them could not tell you, without going out there and rolling up the door, what is actually inside. And the houses those things came out of are the biggest houses anyone has ever built. 3 bedrooms became 4. 1 garage became 2. Closets got walk-in. The average new American home has roughly doubled in floor area since your grandparents were young, and in the same stretch of time, an entire industry appeared out of nothing to hold the overflow. So the space was not the problem. I want to be careful here, because the easy version of this story is that Americans are greedy and buy too much, and that is not what I think, and it is not what the numbers show. Storage units did not appear because people got worse. They appeared because a very specific arrangement of house and habit produces overflow, no matter how careful the family living inside it is. You can be a disciplined, frugal, thoughtful person and still end up standing in a rented corridor at 9 on a Saturday morning, holding a box you do not recognize. The arrangement does that, not you. And an arrangement can be changed, which is the only reason this is worth 20 minutes of your evening. I spent 4 years in Japan learning a trade, and for most of that, I lived in rooms that would fit inside an American living room with space left over. 6 mats, sometimes 4.5. One of the houses I stayed in had raised a family of 5 in it for 2 generations, and there was no clutter. Not tidied-up clutter, the kind that lives behind a closed door and falls out when you open it. I mean, there was nothing to tidy. The floor was clear. The surfaces were clear. Nobody was fighting it, and nobody had a system with labeled bins, and nobody had a storage unit out past the edge of town, because there was no such thing. It took me most of a year to work out what was actually going on, and when I did, it was not a trick. It was one rule, and the rule costs nothing. A room has to stay empty enough to change what it does. That is it. That is the whole thing. In that house, the same 6 mats were a dining room in the evening, a workroom in the afternoon, and a bedroom at night. And none of those functions could happen unless the room was returned to empty in between. Emptiness was not decoration. It was infrastructure. The room could not do its jobs without it. An American room has one job. Your living room is a living room at 3 in the morning when nobody is in it. Because it only has one job, there is no daily moment that forces it to be cleared, and so it accumulates, not through carelessness, but because nothing in the design of the day ever asks it to be empty. Today I want to show you the 9 things that come out of that one rule. Every one of them is something a Japanese household does on purpose, and every one of them is something you can start this week without buying anything. Stay to number 9. It is a single question. It takes 10 seconds to ask, and it is the one that will actually empty your garage. Number 1. The closet that is built for bedding, not for hoarding. An oshire is not an American closet. It is a deep cupboard, usually about the depth of a folded futon, with a shelf across the middle at waist height and 2 sliding paper doors across the front. Notice what it is dimensioned for. It is exactly as deep as the thing it is meant to hold. There is no dead zone at the back where a thing can go and never be seen again. Your closet is deeper than your reach, which means it has a region that functions, in practice, as a small private landfill inside your house. You put something in the back of it in 2019, and it entered a kind of afterlife, and the sliding doors matter more than they look. A hinged door needs a swing radius, so there is a wedge of floor in front of every closet in your house that can never hold anything. A sliding door needs none. In a small room, that is not a minor gain. It is the difference between the room working and not working. The oshire is also always full. Not full of stored possessions, full of the bedding for everyone who sleeps in that room. It has a standing job. A cupboard with a standing job cannot quietly become a place where you put things you have not decided about. Do this. Go to your deepest closet and find the layer at the back you cannot reach without moving something. Whatever is in that layer, you have functionally not owned for years. Pull it all out onto the floor. Do not sort it yet, just look at it. Number 2. The bed goes away every single morning. In the room I lived in, the futon came out of the oshir at night and went back into it in the morning. It took me maybe 90 seconds once I stopped resenting it. I want you to see what that 90 seconds actually buys, because it is not tidiness. A bed is the single largest object in most homes, and it is a permanent occupier. It sits in the middle of a room all day, doing nothing, and no other activity can use that floor. Roughly a third of the average bedroom is permanently allocated to an object in use for 8 hours out of 24. When the bed goes away, the room comes back. That is why the same 6 mats can be a workshop at 10 in the morning. And the second order effect is the one that matters for clutter, because the floor has to be clear every single morning for the futon to be laid out that evening. There is a hard daily deadline on the room. Nothing can accumulate for more than about 18 hours before the room itself objects. My teacher put it plainly. He said a room you never have to clear is a room that will fill. Do this. You are not going to give up your mattress, and I am not going to pretend otherwise. But pick one surface, the dining table, the kitchen island, one chair, and make it a thing that must be completely empty before you go to bed. One surface with a daily deadline. Watch what it does to the room around it. Number 3. The wardrobe changes twice a year, on a date. Koromoge is the seasonal changeover of clothing, and it happens on roughly the same dates every year. Around the start of June, the winter things go away, and the summer things come out. Around the start of October, it reverses. 2 things happen inside that ritual, and only one of them is obvious. The obvious one is that half your clothes are in a box, so the space you need at any moment is halved. The one nobody mentions is that twice a year, every single garment you own passes through your hands. You cannot store the winter coat without holding the winter coat. And when you hold it, you find out, not by deciding, just by noticing, that it has a tear you are never going to fix, or that you did not wear it once, or that it does not fit. An American wardrobe is never audited because everything is permanently visible and permanently accessible, which sounds like an advantage and is actually the trap. Things you can always see, you stop seeing. Do this. Put 2 dates in your calendar for the year. On those dates, every item of clothing gets picked up once. Not sorted, not agonized over, just picked up. The decisions make themselves. Number 4. The entryway is an airlock, and it is guarded. The genkan is the sunken step just inside a Japanese front door where shoes come off. The floor level actually rises when you step up out of it into the house proper. That step is a border, and it does a lot of quiet work. The obvious job is that outdoor dirt stops there. The real job is that the genkan is a choke point, and it is deliberately kept small and deliberately kept clear. There is nowhere in it to set a bag down for now. The house does not offer a shelf at the threshold on which incoming objects can pause. Compare your entryway. There is a bench. There is a hook wall. There is a console table with a bowl on it. There is a floor beside the door where the parcels go. Every one of those is a surface that says you may set that down and decide later. And clutter is not made of objects. It is made of postponed decisions. The genkan says, this thing is coming into the house or it is not, and you are deciding now, standing up with your shoes half off. Do this. Remove one surface from within 2 meters of your front door. Just one. The bowl, the bench, the little table. See how much longer things stay in your hands. Number 5. There is no attic, no basement, no garage. Traditional Japanese houses are raised on posts with an air gap underneath, roofed with a structure you cannot stand up inside, and historically had no attached garage at all. There is nowhere in the building that is designated for things without a purpose. This is the part I would most like you to sit with, because it sounds like a limitation, and it is actually the mechanism. A garage is not storage. A garage is permission. It is the architectural version of, I'll deal with it later. And because it exists, later never has to arrive. The box you carry into a garage has not been kept. It has been given a stay of execution, indefinitely renewable. Every American house ships with 3 of these amnesty zones, and the storage unit industry exists because for a lot of families, 3 was not enough. And notice how they are placed. All 3 are at the edges of the building, above the ceiling, below the floor, out past the kitchen door. They are the parts of the house you do not walk through on an ordinary day. That is not an accident of construction. That is the entire function. An amnesty zone only works if it is out of sight, because the whole service it provides is letting you stop thinking about something without throwing it away. Which means the box does not go to the garage because the garage has space. The box goes to the garage because the garage has darkness. I asked my teacher once where the equivalent was, and he did not understand the question. Not the language, the concept. I was asking where in the house you put a thing when you have not decided about it yet, and to him, that was like asking where you keep a decision you have not made. It does not have a location. You either decide or you are still standing there holding it. A Japanese house has none. Every object in it is in a room, in use, in the open, where a person has to look at it. And an object you have to look at every day either earns its place or starts to bother you. Do this. You cannot remove your garage, but go and stand in it and find one box that has not been opened in over a year and open it, not to sort it, just to end the amnesty on that one box. Number 6. The furniture is sized to the possessions, not the other way round. A tansu is a chest of drawers, and traditionally a household had 1 or 2 sized to what that family actually owned. The order of operations is the thing. You have possessions, so you acquire a container that fits them. Now watch how it runs in an American house. You buy a house with a certain amount of built-in storage. That storage is empty. Emptiness in a container reads, to the human brain, as unused capacity, as waste, so it fills. Not because you needed those things, but because the container was there first, and it was asking. Storage capacity does not solve clutter. Storage capacity generates clutter, reliably, at close to a 1-to-1 rate, and every organizing product you have ever bought was sold to you on the opposite premise. Do this. The next time you are about to buy a bin, a rack, a set of drawers, or an over-the-door organizer, do not. That purchase is not a solution to the problem. It is the next installment of it. Number 7. 1 in, 1 out, but enforced by physics, not willpower. Everybody has heard of 1 in, 1 out. Almost nobody manages it, because as a rule, it relies entirely on discipline, and discipline loses. In a small house, it is not a rule. It is a physical fact. There is one Oshira, and it is full of bedding that has to fit, and if you put something else in there, the doors do not close. The house enforces the rule whether or not anyone feels like being enforced upon. This is the honest difference, and I do not want to dress it up as wisdom. It is not that people there have more self-control than you. It is that they live inside a structure that does the controlling, so self-control is not being asked for. Which means the useful move is not to try harder. It is to build a smaller container on purpose and then refuse to add a second one. There is a detail in how the container gets chosen that I think matters, and it is easy to miss. The Oshira was not sized by guessing. It was sized by the futon, and the futon was sized by a person, and the mat the person sleeps on was itself a fixed module, roughly the area a human body needs to lie down. The whole chain of dimensions in that house traces back to a body. Nothing in it was sized to a shipping pallet or a showroom or a price point. So when the cupboard says no, it is not being arbitrary. It is telling you that you have exceeded what a household of this many people actually uses, and it is telling you in the only language a building has, which is that the door will not shut. Your storage was sized by a builder optimizing floor plans, which means the number it is telling you has nothing to do with your family at all. It is a number about resale value. You have been treating it as a target, and it was never a measurement of anything about you. That is why the cap has to be one you choose. A cap you inherited from a floor plan is not a cap. It is an invitation. Do this. Pick one category, mugs, t-shirts, cables, whatever yours is, and physically cap it. One drawer, one shelf, one box, chosen by you, sized to what you actually reach for in a normal month. When it will not close, something leaves. You have not made a rule, you have made an edge. Number 8. The rare things live somewhere else entirely. I should be fair, because there is an obvious objection. Some things genuinely are used once a year and genuinely have to be kept. Historically, the answer was a kura, a thick-walled storehouse separate from the living house, holding the ceremonial things, the seasonal things, the family records. Most households never had one, the very well-off did, and villages sometimes shared. The point is not that you should build one. The point is what it establishes. The rare things were kept outside the space where daily life happens, and getting to them was deliberately a small expedition, which is, if you look at it honestly, exactly what a storage unit is. So the storage unit is not the sin. Renting one for the things you truly use once a year is a completely defensible arrangement. The problem is that almost nobody uses theirs that way. They use it as an overflow valve, a place where the decision goes when the house has run out of amnesty zones. A kura held 12 things somebody could name. A storage unit holds 140 things nobody can. There is one more thing about the kura worth knowing because it changes what the building was for. A kura was fireproof. Thick earthen walls, heavy shutters. The whole point being that when the town burned, and towns built of wood and paper did burn, the storehouse survived. So what went inside it was chosen against a very hard test. Is this worth building a fireproof box for? That is a wonderful question, and it costs nothing to borrow. Not would I keep this, but would I have built a separate fireproof building for this? Almost nothing passes. The things that do pass, you can usually name from the next room without checking. Do this. If you rent one, go and write a list of what is in it, on paper, from memory, before you open the door. Then, open the door. The gap between those two lists is your answer. Number 9. The 10-second question. Everything above is downstream of one question, and my teacher asked it constantly, about tools, about bowls, about a coil of rope, about a visitor's umbrella that had been by the door for a week. Not, do I need this? You can talk yourself into needing anything. Not, does it spark joy? That is somebody else's method, and it asks you to consult a feeling, and feelings are exactly what got the garage into its current condition. The question is, when did this last do its job, and when will it next? Both halves. Past and future. And both have to have an actual answer with a time in it. The ski boots. Last February, next February. Fine, keep them, and keep them out of the way of daily life. The bread maker. It did its job twice, in 2021, and the honest answer to the second half is never, and you have known that for 3 years. It is a brutal little question because it is answerable. There is no room in it for someday or just in case, which are not answers, they are ways of not answering. Do this tonight. 10 objects. Any 10. Ask both halves out loud. You will keep most of them, and you will feel completely differently about 3. So, 9 things. The shallow closet, the bed that goes away, the wardrobe on a date, the guarded threshold, no amnesty zones, furniture size to the goods, a physical cap instead of a rule, the rare things kept off-site and named, and the 10-second question. None of it costs a thing. That is genuinely the part that got me, standing in a 6-mat room that was somehow bigger than my parents' house. None of it was a product. There was nothing to buy. Every single one of those 9 is a decision about how a space is allowed to behave, and the entire industry that has grown up around your clutter is selling you containers, which is the one thing that demonstrably makes it worse. And I want to say the honest part before I finish, because I think a lot of these videos leave it out. None of this is about owning very little. That is a different idea. It belongs to somebody else, and frankly, the households I lived in were not spare. There were books. There were too many bowls. There was a drawer of string that no reasonable person could justify. Nobody was living like a monk, and nobody was performing an aesthetic for anyone. The difference was narrower than that and more useful. Everything in those houses had a location that a person could name, and the number of things was capped by the number of locations, and the locations were not expandable because the building would not allow it. That is all. Under those conditions, a family accumulates for 2 generations, and the floor is still clear at the end of it. Under your conditions, a careful person accumulates for 6 years and needs a metal door out past the edge of town. Same person, different building. So if you take one thing out of this, do not take a mood. Take the cap, pick a category tonight, give it 1 container, and refuse to give it a second one, ever. Everything else in this video is a variation on that single move. Now tell me the number. Out of those 9, which one is the one your house is breaking right now? Just the number, in the comments. I already know a lot of you are going to say 5, and I would like to know if I am right. And if this landed, send it to the person you know who is currently paying rent on a metal door they have not opened since the spring. Next time, I am going to show you the 10 things Japanese households do in winter instead of turning the heating on. The padded jacket you wear indoors, the iron bottle that goes into the bed an hour before you do, and the one table that a family of 4 will not leave all evening because it is the warmest place in the house. My first winter there, I did not touch a thermostat once, and I was not cold. Until then, keep the room empty enough to change its mind.